So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, sunshines. Whoop, whoop. It's Friday. And I'm super excited because we have a rock star with us today, a very good friend of mine who does some amazing work and has a really interesting journey. Because if you've ever thought about the multiple hat story of running multiple businesses and trying to figure out which is the priority, what comes next, where am I going, how do I make it all happen, you're going to enjoy this conversation. So please give a warm welcome to our community member, Frank Belanger, who is with Pixx Media. He runs the Top Dog Tips from YYC Business. You may have seen it. He's done some collaborations with many people here in the community. Greg, a very warm welcome. How's the week going? What's the highlight of your week?
Yeah, hey, Christine. Thanks for that lovely intro. I'd like to hear what I have to say as well. It sounds pretty interesting. So, yeah, no, thanks. It's been an interesting week, multitasking, and just living the dream. Some days waking up to the nightmare, but always an interesting story, right? So,
I always think life is full of plot twists, and I want to talk about let's start with the very beginning. We talked about, where did you always imagine you would be a business owner? How did the first business start? And how did you even think about more than one business? Because that's fascinating. Not everyone has that level of courage. Tell us a little bit about how you got started.
Well, I've always had more bravado than brains. Let's put it that way. My philosophy on life is fail your way to success, and I've done that very well. I've had lots of incidents where it's kicked me upside of the head, but I've survived. That's all happened on. Currently the business that I'm running is my long-term business that we didn't touch on. Is I've got a sport fishing business on Vancouver Island. It's called Lucky Sport Fishing at Eagle Nook Resort. I've been doing it since 2009, and it's a charter business. We do salmon and halibut fishing. So that's been a pretty good gig, and we're having a banner year. It's amazing. Mm-hmm. Then I started up Pixx Media, which is a digital media company. Our assets on that are online news websites, YYC Business, YG Edmonton Business, and coming soon near you, another 14 destinations once I take over Canada. And then the Top Dog Tips is kind of the sales arm for all those other entities. So yeah, it's complex. And so where it all started, I was born on a shoebox in the middle of a dirt road in Saskatchewan, and
I didn't know you were Saskatchewan born. How fun!
I'm a Sasker, man. I'm a Sasker. So. But right from the very early days, from my parents got involved in a business called Belanger and Sons Lumber, and it was a family style business. It was very, very interesting. So I learned to cut my teeth and observing what went on with that, and that was in the '80s. And the big economic tsunami that hit Alberta was the National Energy Program, and you know what, that wiped us out. My family lost the business, they lost their homes, and my old man was a man of his honor, and I got a lot of respect for him. But from a business acumen point of view, one of the fatal mistake he made is we had a limited company, but he didn't use it. He went on and paid off all of our debts by liquidating his personal assets because it was his word. And to this day, that the hardships that went through, it's really taught me a lesson in life about business, and setting it up properly so that you're protected, but you're not all in to the point that it's going to hurt the family and the people you're in love with. So they went through, they lost the business, but they were able to string it up together. We started a new pub in town called Dickens Pub. Again, being very resilient. It's a new concept of English pubs with live music. We did that for a while. Then being French Catholics, they got pregnant with my sister, which was sibling number 7, decided to leave the bar business. And once they did that, I left, and I started a business called The Old Scotch with other different partners. It was a live entertainment club. It was a pretty good going concern. We got it going for about 5 years. That's where stars like Jan Arden got her start there, Ian Tyson, Jeff Healy, the blues band, and you know, this is where I got my business degree. I cut my teeth in the heat of battle, dealing with musician business partners that sometimes had different concepts about, you know, how life works.
I can only imagine.
Oh man, the battles were epic, right? Dealing with customers, dealing with the issues of drugs and alcohol in the club. How do you do that? Deal with landlords, accountants, meeting payroll, and it was demanding. And you know, I did this at the age of 22, right? So it was amazing. And you know, I decided I wasn't learning what I needed to do running the club. But if guys come in and say, "Hey man, this is amazing. You're doing all this. It's all cool," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, but I've got no mentors. I've got nowhere to go. I don't know what I don't know." So I yearned to get out of the business. And as luck would have it, my wife, who was my executive chef, again, that's another story. The conversation was, "Honey, I love you. I can't work with you and live with you the same time. I love living with you, so you got to go." And that led to some interesting things. Anyways, she got pregnant, and then starts Greg Belanger 2.0. I call it the family and corporate career years. Okay? So growing a family, I've got into corporate sales gigs. So corporate sales gigs always had a performance pay component to it, right? Straight commission, straight juice, small base, and you know, eat what you kill. Mm-hmm. So I enjoyed some great incomes. I traveled the world, had great benefits. You know, those days the reward incentive trips were amazing. You know, President's Club trips to, you know, Ireland, Pebble Beach, all these places. So it was awesome. Okay. You know, one of the companies was Russell Food Equipment, where I got in and started designing the back end infrastructure for restaurant and bars. I wanted to get more into technology, so I joined a company called Pitney Bowes, which was you know, hardcore sales, selling postage equipment and, you know, copier machines. Did well there, and then transitioned to a tech environment company where we got into selling data center infrastructure. Okay, all the critical infrastructure required to, you know, run the internet and run the computing power for all businesses. So I got into that, and then morphed into the bigger companies like Rogers and IBM, and, you know, again, did the corporate gig. And, you know, on the side, I mentioned the Lucky Sport Fishing. I was able to found that with a great partner of mine, you know, Dan Burnett, lifelong friend. Mm-hmm. We started the Lucky Sport Fishing, and you know, it really satisfied my entrepreneurial bent to be creative. I did all the business development, back end office systems, and then work on, you know, again, the marketing, the business. I attended trade shows, and it was just a really good, fun outlet while I did my corporate duty. Right.
You know, I love that. I think this is what I love about the story so far in 1.0 and 2.0 is, you know, when you're young and scrappy, and I know many entrepreneurs, you know, think I have to have all the answers. And in the same way, like when you're young, you know, you don't have all the answers. When you're older, you start to think you need to have all the answers. And it's not the case. This idea of I can constantly learn, I can constantly be in the fire. And yeah, sometimes the kitchen's really hot, but there is a real sense of, I don't know how strong I am until I'm in it. And if you can do a self-assessment and say, I need help. I love the comment you made, which was, I knew I could survive. I was not sure I had what it takes. I needed mentors to help, because I thought this isn't the pace I can live at forever. And I think we all have that when we're in a high growth phase of business, or we're, you know, ignorance on fire, maybe to a certain extent. It is easy to just stay in the spin cycle. And yet this has kind of been my mantra of this week, is like, you need to slow down to speed up, and then go back to who are good partners to be in the fire with, and what bits are still fun in the journey. And if it's not this, to have the courage to find that and to not know it. So I love that you've had that permutation, that trust, that I'm not one thing, because I do think that's what makes you successful. From everything that, you know, we've crossed paths at a networking event, we've done some work together, we've collaborated. Yeah. You have this ability to see the vision. And now I see, kind of maybe even in 3.0, and you can tell us a bit about that, is I don't want to be in the weeds.
Yeah, you know, for sure. So again, down the journey, again, I call it, you know, Greg Belanger 3.0. It's all about me again. So what brought me to this point, Christine, is you know, a personal story. I had some health issues. I got attacked by arthritis. It took away my hips. And I went through, I had to go through surgery, and I've got 2 artificial hips, bionic man, if any of your readers remember those days. But, the journey to that, it really, it blew me away. How could this happen to me, man? I'm invincible. I'm heli skiing. I'm doing double black diamonds. I'm jumping off cliffs. I'm avoiding trees. I'm jumping out of airplanes. And, all of a sudden, bang, everything short of wrestling bears. This was me. And all of a sudden, I can't friggin' walk more than 10 feet without crying out in pain. So I had 2 years of really chronic pain and forced with mobility, and forced with my own mortality. And it was a journey that I didn't like myself, and coming out of it, I focused a lot onto it. But coming out of it, I got into some kind of deep reflection about what really is important in my life. And it was no longer building businesses for other people or generating shareholder value. Okay. So I decided that I wanted to get off my own gig, and as luck would have it, the day I left my last corporate job, the very day, 2 hours later, my current business partner and good buddy of mine, Bruno Lindia, called me up. He said, "What are you doing?" I said, you know what? I'm just in flux right now. I just left this corporate gig, and I think I'm going to focus on marketing my fishing company right now. He goes, "Oh, you like marketing?" I said, "Well, yeah, I know a few things about it." I said, "Well, you know what? You should come and check out what I'm doing." And bang, all of a sudden it started the path down Pixx Media. Our marketing group. Along the way, we bought the asset of Calgary Business, and bang, we became business editors, publishers, videographers, and we're running with journalists and editors, and just a brave new world. But again, what the hell? We're taking.
But one you were in control of. It's interesting. When I first started my business, one of the sentences in my mentorship group that I heard a lot for was, if you're going to venture in your own, and that doesn't matter whether you're doing it as a side hustle, as a partnership in some kind of collaborative joint venture, or you're fully independent, you need to be prepared for impact, because there's going to be moments in your business or your life, whether it's you or an immediate family member or someone in your circle you care for, hits a plot twist and says, I need to just immediately eject. The priorities reshift. And we all have that, and I think that's one of the big differences when you're in a growth cycle. And, don't ever lose sight of, to the community, don't ever lose sight of, you want to be not a business operator. You need to be a business owner, because if your priorities shift and new opportunity comes your way, you want capacity to do that. You want the freedom to either hit pause and focus on health, but you might also go hit pause on that because, wow, that's really interesting over there. And I didn't even know it was possible, because conversations and being in momentum create unexpected gifts. You happen to have had a conversation. I know in my life, I had that one story of, I had resigned, similar thing. I had resigned from a business that was going bankrupt. I had been in it. I was one of the founding members of it, and I was ready for my next chapter. And I knew that for quite a while, because I watched the whole growth from 5 people to 45. I watched then the downsize. We were running out of money because strategically some of the things we banked on fell through. I resigned. I accepted another job. And the day after I accepted my job, I got accepted to my MBA program. And thought, wow, one day makes a really big difference in the destination and the journey and the timeline. In my case, I took the contract I'd committed to, because I'm integrity wise, that was important to me. And I deferred school, but I did go do school and think to myself, well, if that post letter had come one day earlier, I wouldn't have had this amazing experience, which actually gifted me my first time to be a manager. And I just still always say, I'd like to send a apology letter to that first person I managed, because I was probably a disaster, but great learning opportunity. So you've now got this incredible vision. I want to talk about video and what you've learned and why you talk video is so important with businesses today, because this is like, you've come from a marketing background, you've done through the selling, you've had sport fishing, but you're now serving not just one vertical in video. You're working with businesses of all kinds. Why is video important to everybody?
Well, thanks. That's a great question. To kind of peel it back is, to your point, one of the things that drives me is I like to serve. That's my why. I have years of a varied experience from everything from different businesses, different sectors coming through. And I really wanted to take all my knowledge, my experience, and the I call it wisdom, but wisdom mostly learned from getting kicked upside the head, right? And bring it together and help other people, help other business owners go through the challenge. And one of the biggest challenges business owners have is marketing, right? Going through the sport fishing business again. That's where I call it. That's where I got my marketing degree, and it was I probably spent more money on doing dumbass campaigns that didn't work on the advice of marketers than I would have spent going to school. So that's my credo.
You're the Rhodes Scholar. My dad would say, "You're the Rhodes Scholar."
Oh, the Rhodes Scholar, the streetwise.
Yeah.
So one of the phrases I created was where there's mystery, there's margin. So a lot of marketing companies tend to talk over people, and you say, "Oh, if you don't get it, don't it's complicated. Don't worry about it." And that always bothered me. So I decided to help different businesses and get clear on where they're at, what they want to do, and what is their sales strategy, what is their business plan, and then once you understand the destination where you want to go, then you start to plug in marketing tactics and try to help them understand. So that's where I come from. And when it comes to video has just exploded, right? It's taken the world by storm, right? As an entrepreneur, business owner, video marketing is your single most powerful tool for getting more visibility more quickly, getting your message out, attracting your ideal clients, having more impact, and ultimately making more money, right? So the global events in the last couple of years have really shaken up how people consume and interact with information, unlike anything we've seen since the advent of TV, right? So for small business owners everywhere, life has changed, and video marketing has become more important than ever. Those that don't have a video strategy tend to wither in today's hyper-competitive market. So with business leaders, a lot of them want to use video, but they're not sure how to proceed, or maybe a little intimidated about, what do I look like? Do I ever
show up on camera?
Come across as a buffoon? So I created the business to kind of offer easy ways to start your journey with video.
Yeah, and I think, video is everything. And I had a conversation with one of our community members in South Africa yesterday about this, because the conversation was, I hate social media. And so I know I need this for my business. I don't really want to do it. And I said, one of the things is, let's be clear, it is not about you. And marketing is not about you, and video is not about you. And that's where we get really caught up. And I really would highly recommend everybody to explore Greg's services and what he does, because it is the strategy piece. There's a really key word there. It's not just video. I mean, you need to first decide you're going to do it and show up. That's a given. But it's more than just showing up haphazardly that will lead to the success and results that are predictable. And that's ultimately what you want, is predictable, consistent, deliverable results. But the strategy is everything. And I love what you say about start with the end in mind and then build every other piece in and around it. And that's why you've got this really robust service offering, which is not like a lot of other offerings in the video space. But turning this back to you, I'm sure that you didn't start with the end in mind. So what are some of the early mistakes or things you wish you'd known earlier that you think, if I was given advice to my younger self, learn this earlier or be aware of this in the bigger storyline?
You know what? I guess some of it is depends where you're at in your life. But one of it is you really understand what you're getting into, right? As an entrepreneur, you're going to be faced a lot of challenges, right? So if you're looking for a life without many ups and downs and have a hard time handling failure, then starting a company may not be the thing for you. And again, it's a journey, man. Some days you're the hero, some days you're the demon, right? So
that's right. You're the Joker.
Yeah, for sure. So an entrepreneur's job is to innovate, create jobs, grow revenues. But before you can do that, you need to determine if you really have the drive and determination and dedication and confidence to fight for your dream every day besides the articles. So if you don't have that hunger and perseverance, entrepreneurship may not be for you. So the lesson is set your expectations effectively and know what you're in for, because it's a ride, incredibly rewarding incredibly damaging. Again, I seen my parents lose everything, went through, but for some reason it hasn't stopped me from do my own journey, right?
It didn't deter you. It's interesting because I watched my dad sell all of his life, and I know so many people hate this idea of selling. And I know you've heard me say this is, you can't subscribe to the Kevin Costner Field of Dreams business strategy, which is if I build it, they'll simply come. It does not happen that way. That's a movie. Please go watch it if that's what you need to do, but don't live it as a business strategy, because my dad said the same thing. My word is my honor. He was all about service. You and I, connect on that level for sure. Our integrity both says we're here to serve. How do we help? How do we make this smoother, easier, more effective so that you shine? And both of us serve in that capacity, all those different lenses. The interesting thing about that is when you are in business and you go, I don't want to sell. I always go, did you think you would be in business without selling? But if you can shift your mind to say serve and be prepared. We were in a great session this week talking about, if you do one thing in your business day, make sure you're selling, because all of everything else comes from that moment. And I know it really hit you and I were like, oh, right.
Well, you know what? The only when you're starting a business, people ask, oh, what do I need to start a business? Oh, you need a business plan, you need a market strategy, you need blah, blah, blah. No, you don't. The one thing you need to start a business is a customer who's going to pay for whatever it is you're providing or selling. So paying customer dictates dictates everything, right? The market dictates what value you're bringing and what you're going to sell, right?
And being able then to communicate it, like that's where I play, and I 100% agree with that. So I want to just reiterate that for the community so that you guys get value out of our conversation today. You can't build a product in a vacuum and think that you just, can launch it and they will come. You need to build an audience, and the audience will tell you what they want to buy. You need to deliver the value, make the offer to have exchange happen. And I think one of the best business strategy advices I give, and I love it, is make the offer, then build your product. Don't build your product thinking you've never tested in the market if somebody's going to pay for it, because while you think everybody needs it, that doesn't mean everyone wants it and is willing to pay for it. To be in business, they must want it and be willing to pay for it. And you need to be able to show them you exist. Otherwise, you're a wannapreneur and not an entrepreneur, right?
You know what? You're so right. The challenge we have as entrepreneurs is falling in love with their own idea, and then being stubborn about letting it go. And it's these guys just don't get it. Well, yeah, you know what? You're the one that's not getting it. So,
that can happen too. We get blinders on, but I want to shift the conversation for a little bit, because what's interesting to me is that you are not you're not a one-time entrepreneur. You have been a serial entrepreneur all your life, starting in your early 20 journeys to the life you have now. And yet you have a big network, I'm assuming, because of all of that journey. But even you came to the point that said, I need other thinking partners. And you joined the network. We happen to both be members of CIBN, which is one of the communities that if you guys want to come to a free networking event, Greg and I'd be very happy to host you. Tell me why you thought joining a networking group was important to where you were in your journey, because you already had a bit of a network. Why did you choose that was a good strategy for you yourself as an owner, as well as your business?
Great. Thank you for asking that. So when I looked at part of the path to getting my message out, I do have a good network. Went through and again, the challenge of the last couple of years with the pandemic is you got to shift everything online to reaching out in the digital world. The face-to-face, the way I did business in the past, it was a lot of traveling to different cities, doing the golf games and the shaking babies, kissing hands routine, and a lot of face-to-face interaction, right? And all of a sudden you can't do that anymore. So I had to be smarter. I had to switch to a new strategy, a virtual strategy, virtual selling, and I spent a lot of time and effort at doing that. And again, reaching out to people through the various tools, the LinkedIn, the emails, getting back on the phone, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Battling for dollars. So I really got back to selling 101, okay, which was very interesting. And when I looked at the networking group, what attracted me to, I looked at a couple different networking groups, and again, for your readers, not every group's going to be for you, but do your due diligence, try a few of them out, and understand where they're coming from and seeing if it's a fit. And as a particular shout out to CIBN, Carrie George and her team, I really felt that these guys offer some tremendous value. So for me, it was 40% of the networking, with the opportunity for driving some business, but the rest was really about the education piece that they offer. They're talking about different things that I was contemplating, everything from what's the best CRM to use, what do you guys use, and feedback to funneling to different types of strategies. And then the other aspect is the camaraderie. They've become a group of friends. We're fast becoming friends, Christine. I admire you. I admire your work, but you come back. These people are coming back from a perspective of other business owners struggling with some of the same questions. And one of the realities of being an entrepreneur or business owner is it can be a lonely path, right? Nobody gets you, right? Nobody gets you. Nobody understands what you're doing. It can be especially challenging with your family and friends, right? A lot of family friends is like, why are you doing this? Why are you struggling? Why don't you just go get the 9 to 5, man? Carry a lunch bucket and make life easy. And entrepreneurs aren't wired that way. So one of the biggest values that I get is that support of people like me.
I think it is important because even when you are in the journey and you're seasoned, you can't lose sight of the fact that new ideas help you grow. And there is, a really important thing. I was speaking on it on a group this morning. You think you have all the answers, but you have blinders about your business, and you can run the risk, even in your seasoned days, of falling into your comfort zone. And I think one of the worst business strategies out there, I say this all the time, it's slightly controversial, is the worst business advice I think you can give somebody is do what you love. Because if you're only doing what you love, you are never growing and you're living in your comfort zone. And I know I've seen it, I'm not in the mastermind group, which you are, is, they didn't let me off the hook. They pushed, made me uncomfortable, challenged me, because the goal is not to tear down, it's to build you up and to be the reflection when you can't see it. And one of the things that Chris Colby, who was my guest in our last interview, we talked about is when you are in your own business, you cannot see it. And it's important to have, other peers who are only just entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs in the same vertical are serving some of the similar clients as you, because they will give you an assessment that is so valuable and say, this bit of the story is really good and I connect to it. And this bit, you sound like everybody else. And if you start to sound like everybody else, because that's your comfort zone, you lose the ability to make the tremendous impact you can. And so being in a group of like-minded people who challenge you is really important. And I think you should belong to more than one group, because different groups will bring different things to you, different focuses. And yes, CIBN, I love that about it too, is not just the networking, but the growth together on the journey has created expedited friendships, but it's also created a real safety net of, I want to try something. Safe space.
Well, and Christine, it's when you say safety net, it's a safe zone, right? The reality is when you're out in the heat of the battle out in the field, when somebody doesn't buy into your product, when you're not successful with the sale, you know what? There's no trophy for second place. Second place is the first loser. So would you rather try it in a safe environment to get that kind of feedback, or try it out in the field where the feedback is costly, expensive, and damaging emotionally, right?
Well, and one thing I really respect about you, and we both come from a sales background, so we speak for a living. We're used to being in also in a marketing way, so we're public about our businesses, and we've been for many years. And when I was running my Speaking with Passion and Confidence workshop, you had signed up for it saying, I do this all the time. It's not that I think I don't have the skills. It's like, could I do it better? And you were very open to attending the workshop, but then we've even had some work afterwards. And I think that's what I would encourage you to do is refine your craft. One of the great messages you've shared in your 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 is I was constantly refining my craft. I moved in different businesses, taking different kinds of roles, being open to moments where I led a little bit with Ignorance on Fire to I needed other thinking partners to I also then have partners. And what I want out of my business has shifted as my life goals and my priorities have shifted. So be open to redefining success on your journey and being really clear to start with the end in mind. What do you want out of this? Because there is no two businesses that are the same, no two business owners that have the same story. And that's why we come on here to interview people saying every business owner has a story. What's yours? And so I want to bring this to a close by saying, how do people find you? What's the one thing you're really excited about? And where do you see possibility in your business moving forward?
Sure. You can find me about Greg at topdogsales.ca. Check my business out, yyccalgarybusiness.ca, to see a lot of the work that we do. One of the things I'm really excited about is, Christina, again, I drink my own Kool-Aid. So not only do I help people produce their videos and produce different shows and help them become hosts, I've become my own host. So I started my own series called Top Dog Tips, no BS practical business advice. And I go through and interview experts and get our audience and viewers some good business tips and help them, give them a little bit of a commercial exposure to highlight who they are as experts. So that's one that's I've kicked off, and I've done a bunch of episodes. You were my very first guest. Thank you very much. So I'm really excited about that. And it's again, drinking my own Kool-Aid. It's proof of this is on my path towards increasing my visibility, increasing my influence, increasing my impact. The more people I can reach with my message, and the more people I can help, and it all comes back to fulfilling why I'm here right now. So that's it. Did I finish? Was there anything else you're asking for?
No, that was it. And I love it. So I want to just say this because this is such an important one. This is a great moment to lead as we head into the weekend. It is, Greg would say, drinking from the Kool-Aid. I would say, remember, the first person you need to lead is yourself, always. And so how are you leading yourself? Are you drinking your own Kool-Aid? Are you doing the things for your own business that you do for your clients? I will tell you, this is one of the easiest low-hanging fruits most of us miss. I have been there myself going, wow, I write copy for other people. Wow, I do content calendars for other people. And I'm like, I'm not that good with my own strategy. I had to drink my own Kool-Aid. I had to lead myself, do the most amazing work in your own business so that you really showcase all the talent that you bring. Greg does a great show. So fun. Thank you for inviting me to be your first guest, because I've watched other community members, not just within CIBN, but here within my own community, participate. And it's great to see you move from strength to strength. So I'm just going to say, good job. I love to see the evolution. Thanks so much for being a guest with us today, guys. You would definitely want to connect to Greg. He's an awesome guy, and he is a no BS kind of leader. So you definitely want one of those in your corner. Hope you guys have an awesome weekend. Stay tuned. I will be back here next Friday. We will see you then. Thanks, Greg, for being here today.
Thanks, Christine. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend.